Welcome everyone to the Jets roster outlook with commentary. Very good. Okay, so we have Zach Wilson, the second overall pick. Good quarterback from BYU, very accurate, good mobility, good arm range to where he can throw from multiple angles, which is important when you're under the rush. They really liked his decision making. They liked his football IQ. You know, how fast he can pick up on a system. Played in a very similar system to the West Coast system at BYU. So he's going to have some familiarity with what we're doing. He just has to get familiar with the guys around him and the NFL playing at a higher level. You go to running back, we've got Tevin Coleman, a running back that can explode. You give him a lane, he's got acceleration to the point where he can score from anywhere on the field. Michael Carter, a highly elusive back with not extreme speed, but enough speed to get downfield. A running back that I see more like a Tiki Barber was for the Giants years ago. An elusive back, good receiver out of the backfield. Had that 300-yard game versus Miami. Do I think he's going to run for 300 yards in a game in the NFL? No, I don't. But, you know, I do think he can produce at an NFL level right away. And especially you team him with Coleman. Ty Johnson, an underrated running back, very fast. Another guy, you give him a seam, he can explode. Do I think that he's going to have, 1,000 yards? Absolutely not. But I do think that he will do better than he did before. I think the Jets' offensive line is going to be better. And just a running back to improve. And the third down running back from last year, LaMichael Pirine, really, a lot of people are saying he's the odd man out, but he was our number one third down production a year ago. So just to count out that, his production at an NFL level last year, and to absolutely just count him out, I wouldn't do it. I do think that in a rotational scheme, he could get some touches and he could make some plays. Do I think that any of these guys are going to run for 1,000 yards by themselves? No. What I think is Tevin Coleman could have maybe 800 yards. We might have 1,800 yards of rushing between all of these guys. Okay, Josh Adams, I'm not sure if he makes the team this year. Good goal line back. He runs with good vision, good power. A Notre Dame running back that before he got hurt at Notre Dame was one of the top backs in the nation. Has yet to recover fully from the ACL injury. But we'll see. You never know. He's still young. This is a position group we either need to get a starter at, a bona fide starting running back, or we just need somebody to step up and fill the starting NFL caliber running back spot. I see a lot of capability here, but we are definitely going to have to keep... If we have injuries at this spot and we have to go with two or we're going to be in trouble. If we have injuries at the running back spot, we're going to be in trouble because we don't have that bona fide starting running back. If it comes down to Michael Carter and Ty Johnson, do I think they're capable? Absolutely. But, neither one is of the caliber of a starter. And you start playing a couple of backups game after game, it could be bad. If we lose Tevin Coleman, he's had injury problems in the past, and it comes down to Michael Carter and Ty Johnson with a little Pirine mixed in, it could still be good. But all young running backs just needing an opportunity, and it could blossom, but it could go south too. I definitely see that we need a starter at the running back spot, but I do see some potential, and really the Jets' entire roster, there is some potential. But we don't have all the pieces just yet. Now, we'll go to wide receiver, Corey Davis. Now, here's a young man, a top 5 overall draft pick a few years ago. And really, he, is a great fit for the West Coast offense. A lot of range, good speed, elusiveness in the open field. Strength, power. I mean, for a wide receiver, he's the complete package of what we're looking for. A number one wide receiver. He's never played in the number one wide receiver role. That's going to be the interesting thing. You know, they tried to make him the number one receiver, but he was in Tennessee, but he was still learning. They continued to draft other wide receivers, and other receiver. A.J. Brown pretty much took over the go-to receiver role, and with Corey Davis being the odd man out. I think Tennessee made a little bit of a mistake. I would have let the two young guys blossom together. But now, Jamison Crowder, I'm not sure if he's going to be on the opening day roster. I don't know if he gets traded or whatever the case is. I know they're in contract negotiations right now. We'll see how that unfolds, and if we're able to get Jamison Crowder into camp. He was our best receiver a year ago, even with the fall apart nature of our offensive line last year. He was still able to produce. He had some big plays. I'm not saying he had a great season. I'm saying he had, singular big plays. So he is a big play guy, with ability and with a rejuvenated offensive line and more pieces around him like Corey Davis. You could be looking for higher levels of production. Absolutely. And he comes in with a lot of experience. Keelan Cole, another guy who has had some injury problems, but he's had some very productive seasons. And, playing in our fourth or fifth wide receiver role, he might be a steal as a depth receiver. We really might have done very, very well for ourselves getting Keelan Cole in a reserve role. He might end up our number two. I mean, it depends on what happens in camp with Denzel Mims, and it's going to be interesting. There's some solid competition for who is going to be playing where and what is going to be their role. There is some talent at the wide receiver spot this year. I think that's the best place over the last 2 years that we have. The additions of Keelan Cole and Corey Davis really souped up our wide receiver core. And then in the draft we added Elijah Moore, souped it up a little bit more. He can play in the slot. He's a deep threat. He can play a little bit outside. He's just blazing speed, highly elusive player that I think is going to perform right away. And especially he doesn't have to, if we are able to retain Crowder and Elijah Moore does not have to start, we can play him in packages and allow him to get some production, develop, and become an NFL just stud at the wide receiver spot and just be a playmaker. I think Elijah Moore is going to blossom. And I mean blossom big time. I think we got a playmaker and Elijah Moore without question. And then Denzel Mims, another wide receiver that second round draft pick from a year ago. Blazing speed. He's a 4.35 guy. And he's 6'3", 207. I mean, he's big and he's got long arms. The wingspan on this guy, so for his catch radius is outstanding, and he's running a 4.3. The odds of him getting open are really, really good. He's going to have to become a better route runner in the West Coast system. The West Coast system depends strictly on, it's not just blazing speed, it's execution, and route running ability comes into play there. So his youth and ability to learn the new system and adapt and continue to adapt in his second year to the NFL is really going to depend on where is he this number 2 wide receiver this year, or is he the number 4 wide receiver this year? That's really going to be a major, major impact. And guys like Braxton Berrios, what happens with him? He scored some touchdowns and made some plays for us last year when we had a lot of wide receivers hurt. We didn't have a starting wide receiver on the field. And even when Crowder went down, and Braxton Berrios and Jeff Smith, both of these guys, I don't know if they're on the 53-man roster this year, but in the past, they have been, both of these guys, productive. I'm not saying that they were that of a starting caliber receiver. I'm saying that they have been in the game, they have some experience, and they have some production on the resume at this point in their career. Jeff Smith, still a young player. Now, Vincent Smith, he's been in the league a few years now. He's coming back from some injuries. When he had the opportunity last year, he got hurt. Didn't really blossom. Another wide receiver that's big, fast, huge catch radius. With him, it's physicality. Can he withstand an NFL season? Now in a production role, I think he'll do great. If he makes the roster, I mean, there's some competition here. We're not keeping all these wide receivers are not making the Jets 53-man roster. But from a depth spot, Vincent Smith, Jeff Smith, Braxton Berrios, all three of these guys are very interesting names to see who gets the nod for the 53-man roster. But definitely, and Lawrence Kager from a year ago didn't play. He's 6'5", 220. Didn't play with a physical enough nature on the outside. Got bumped off some routes. Gave up an interception. Didn't play physical while coming back to the football. Now he was a rookie and a rookie free agent thrown in because of injury. Okay, so there is a psychological part of the game, impact of the game, where it's when you really don't know what to do and you're still learning, it's hard to play with a physical, that your full capabilities. But as it stands, last year he didn't perform well. He's definitely a wide receiver with a lot of potential that could play a lot better this year. Same thing with Vincent Smith, Jeff Smith, Braxton Berrios, all these guys down here. It'll just be interesting to see who makes the roster. And how many wide receivers do we keep? Do we keep 5? Do we keep 6? So if Jameis Crowder is still on the roster, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And if we keep 6, is it Braxton Berrios, Jeff Smith, Vincent Smith, or Lawrence Kager? Or do we add another name in free agency moving towards training camp? Now, Tyler Croft at the tight end spot, good blocker, capable receiver. I'm not saying 1,000-yard tight end. No. I'm saying he can help us in the red zone. He can help us get first downs. Christopher Herndon, if he ever bounces back and plays up to his full potential and capability, hasn't been the same player since the suspension. Has a lot more ability than what he's played up to this point in his career. But that's kind of the storyline for the Jets. They have, throughout their history, had a lot of guys with some potential that just didn't live up to it. And if he lives up to his potential, he's a highly productive tight end, capable of getting 5, 6, 7 catches a game. I'm not saying a lot of 100-yard games, but he could catch for 70 yards and a touchdown. Maybe not every game, but do I think he could have 800 yards and 8 touchdowns? I do. That's his potential, and he can block. So what we really have here with Ryan, all these guys can block. Tyler Croft, Herndon, Ryan Griffin. Ryan Griffin was injured last year. He's had problems the last few years. So we keep these top 3 guys healthy. All these guys can block. All these guys have ability. They're all factors on 3rd down. Third down. I'm not saying that any of these guys are the best in the NFL at their position. No, not at all. But they're all capable of helping the team get some production. Tavian Wesko, he's kind of a fullback / tight end. He can do multiple things within the offense. With his versatility, I definitely think he gets the nod. I think he'll end up being our fullback. He might get in the West Coast system. He might get a slightly expanded role depending on how he performs in training camp from the fullback position. And Daniel Brown, I think he's just competition. They're giving him an opportunity, see what he can do. Not a bad player, but he hasn't done much to this point in his career. I don't think he makes the 53 unless he, just has a tremendous transformation as a player. And then we go to left tackle with Mekhi Becton. I think this guy, Pro Bowl left tackle this year. He stays healthy. He's going to the Pro Bowl. Cameron Clark, I think they're going to move him to the inside I think he is going to get an opportunity to show himself somewhere on the offensive line, whether it be left guard or right guard or whatever the case is. He's going to get an opportunity to play on that offensive line. They're going to, being that he was a fourth-round draft pick going into his second year, they're going to want to see what he can do. We'll see how training camp. He's another training camp guy. You're just going to have to see how it plays out in training camp with Cameron Clark, but a former fourth-round pick that showed some potential in college, and we'll see how it translates to the NFL. A lot of potential here. Elijah Vera Tucker, I really think he's going to end up being our right guard. Once training camp hits, I think Elijah Vera Tucker will be our right guard. I don't think that they spent a first-round draft pick for a left guard. Now, he does have experience at the left guard position, so if they leave him on the left side, I definitely think we have a strong left side to our O-line. With a lot to be determined on the right side of the ball to this point. And then you've got our starter, Connor McGovern, at center. Didn't have his best year. Got better as the season went along, though. It was his first year as a Jet. And we had nobody returning from the previous year. So there was no continuity up front. I think that was a factor. Things got better on a week-to-week basis, but it was by the time they got it together on the O-line, we got the win against the Rams, and it was way too late. It basically, our offensive line last year was too little, too late. Now, Alex Lewis just restructured his contract to stay with the team this year. They've got him slotted as a right guard. I don't know if that's going to be this. A lot will change from OTAs to week one. We'll just have to see how they're going to play around with this offensive side. Greg Van Rooten played a lot of right guard for us last year. He'll be competing with Alex Lewis and the newly acquired Dan Feeney from the LA Chargers. Excuse me. A lot to be desired here at the right guard spot. That's why I think Elijah Vera Tucker will end up in the right guard spot. Connor McDermott could be underrated. He could be a little bit of a wild card at the left guard spot. Played as a tackle. They're bumping him inside. He might be a better inside player than an outside player. He's probably a better guard than a tackle. And if he can just hold down that left guard spot while Elijah Vera Tucker goes over to the right side, it could be solid. Now, right tackle, again, George Fant, not a bad player, but he's a backup right tackle, let's be honest. He's got the speed, he's got the athleticism, just not a lot of strength. I mean, he is 28, he doesn't have a lot of starting experience, and again, no continuity on the offensive line last year, so George Fant could come in and perform really well, but he's gonna have to win some competitions. Whether it's Chuma Adogwa or whether it's Cameron Clark, that'll be interesting. The Jets are currently working out other right tackles at the moment. I think they see the same thing. They're on the prowl, looking to lock up our right tackle and solidify our right tackle spot. Moving on to the defense. All right, so at the left end spot, I think Carl Lawson will end up being our right defensive end. They're going to put him in that edge spot with just the newly acquired Ronald Blair. Good left end to go along with, an unproven rookie, Zuniga. I think you're going to see some Kyle Phillips mixed in. I don't think he'll play defensive tackle. I think John Franklin Myers, he's proven that he can pass rush from the inside or the left end spot. I think there's going to be a lot to be desired from that left end spot. Ronald Blair probably being the best player for us, and the highest potential is Zuniga. Zuniga, third-round draft pick from Florida, got hurt in college, entered the draft, went in third round, got hurt as a rookie, didn't perform. There was a lot to be desired from Zuniga, but he is a high ceiling player. If he would have played his junior season, came out, never got hurt, he might have been. We might have got a second round potential in the third round. And I think that the value of his talent is why we drafted him. Definitely a high ceiling here. Zuniga hasn't proven anything in the NFL, but he does have some potential, and I think that's the big story with our roster. Vinny Curry, a proven veteran, somebody that can make some plays on defense. Not the best defensive end in the league, but he will make some plays, and he does have a lot of experience. A guy that can teach too. A good guy for a guy like Bryce Huff. Young. Showed some potential last year, made a couple of plays, just went out there and got some experience. We'll see how this plays out. High potential, again, an undrafted rookie free agent, trying to make the 53 again, and, trying to become just a better football player. Again, training camp is going to decipher a lot of this. I don't see Bryce Huff getting a lot of playing time with Vinny Curry and Carl Lawson. Ronald Blair, I just don't see it. But I do think he will get, he'll get some snaps throughout the course of the season, and I do think he is a good football player. I think he will end up, his third year, I think, is the year you'll see Bryce Huff, I don't know about take off, but become a productive NFL football player. And I think that's why we went out and got a guy like Vinny Curry to give some of these younger guys another year, at least to bring it into training camp and compete without having to depend on them for production in the game. Then we got Quentin on the inside. We are loaded. All these guys are not making the team. We're not going to keep 6 or 7 interior defensive lineman. Quentin Williams, yeah, he's a no-brainer. It's going to be interesting to see with Quentin Williams just how this all works out. He has consistently gotten better on a year-to-year basis. Sheldon Rankins, interesting pick. What I think is the most interesting, though, is these are 2 pass rushing type of guys. Quentin can play the nose. Sheldon Rankins is more of that movement tackle. Franklin Myers is a movement tackle. Now, Jonathan Marshall, I think he's a steal. 35 reps at his pro day. Very active inside against the run, pass pressure, you name it. Had a really good final season at Arkansas. Showed a lot of leverage. A player that gets a lot of leverage, but he only had 1 productive season. Okay, but he is a 6th-round draft pick, so we'll see how this works out. Nathan Shepard, just fighting for a spot at this point in his career. He's looking to prove himself and show that he deserves to be a Jet on the final 53-man roster. Probably our best position group is the interior defensive line. So that's a positive. So our edge guys, there'll be no. I don't think there's going to be much of a pocket to step up into. I think we're going to, at the very minimum, get a lot of push in the middle, and that'll help our edge guys get some sacks. Then we got Blake Cashman and Jaheim Sherwood. Sherwood's got to learn a linebacker spot, a high football IQ guy, strong safety, moving to linebacker. I think Sherwood, no matter what position he plays, with that football IQ he's a very, very smart player. So he's going to make his plays no matter what, but we're going to have to be patient while he learns the linebacker position. Playing linebacker and playing strong safety are 2 very different things. Blake Cashman, a highly instinctive player. Really, it all depends. If his shoulder holds up, he's going to be an outstanding player for us. High value pick, former 5th rounder. Again, another guy that got hurt in college. If his shoulder holds up, we got us a linebacker here. Highly instinctive, very fast. He's a 4.5 guy. He's going to be good. And Jaheim Sherwood, as he learns that linebacker spots and he transitions into the NFL, again, both of these guys, some extreme potential. Both of these guys could be very, very, very talented. But again, it's potential. There's nothing proven here. And then we go to the middle linebacker spot. We've got C.J. Mosley right now. Before becoming a Jet, he was one of the best middle linebackers in the NFL, period. So does he go back Does he play as a high mid-range player, or does he live up to his full capability and go back to being a top 5 middle linebacker? He's got to learn the new defense, but with as much ability as he's got and the strength of our defensive interior, I think C.J. Mosley could have a big year. I mean, a really big year. He could go to a Pro Bowl this year for us. And then you have Jared Davis, and his thing is he felt like he was kind of played out of position, didn't really fit the scheme of what they were trying to do in Detroit. A former first-round draft pick, a lot of ability. We'll see how it pans out. He'll be in a lot more pass rushing situation. Great box player. I think you're going to see him do some things. I think he will, in a pass rushing situation, with his ability to plant and go. I think he's going to have some sacks. I'm not saying 10, 15. No, nothing like that. But I think he could get like 7. I think he's a 7-sack guy. Absolutely. And I think that would help us. Then you have the cornerback spot, a lot of loaded with potential, but it's just that, it's potential. A lot of speed, but a lot of low draft picks or guys that weren't drafted. But there is some speed here. There is some talent. I think they did a good job at the back end of the last few drafts and free agent rookie market to get some of these guys. Whether you're talking about Javin Gitry, Michael Carter II, Jason Pinnock, Brandon Eccles, even Lamar Jackson's not bad. I don't think he makes the team this year. I think that would be a huge, do I think he's a good player? I do. He wasn't ready to play last year. He wasn't ready to start, and it showed. But he does have some potential, does have a little bit of experience now. So it'll be interesting. Bless Austin and Bryce Hall, I think they're 2 very, very good players, but Bless Austin and Bryce Hall, they are not ready to start yet. These guys, we need... Bless Austin has some starting experience, but he is not a number 1 corner in the National Football League. I think we're going to get beat bad in the secondary. Do I think they'll make their plays and they'll learn and they'll get better? I do. With all these young guys, I think they're going to play a lot of rotational defense as well. But they're going to have their ups. It's going to be a roller coaster ride in the secondary at the corner spot. A lot of potential, nothing proven, but it's really going to depend on how much they learn and how fast. But you take some of the best wide receivers in the league that we're going to be going against this year. We play that NFC South this year. So we're going to be looking at Tampa, Carolina, New Orleans, some of the best offenses in the NFL. This could be bad. They could tear us apart. But at least we do have Ashton Davis returning. Played a little bit of nickel corner. He played some safety. Played in a variety of roles last year for us. Had a good rookie campaign for a 3rd-round draft pick. Got some experience. Got some production. Showed what he could do a little bit. Is he the greatest player in the NFL? No, but he showed that he can make some plays. And if he just becomes a better football player, he'll help the team. And LaMarcus Joyner going back to the free safety spot, highly productive, underrated. You see him ranked as a 79 overall. With the Raiders, really, he's not a nickel corner. I think that showed, but he is a very, very talented free safety. I think him just playing the free safety role will bring him to a higher level, and he'll be a good player for us. He'll help us on the back end, maybe help some of them young guys learn a little bit. He'll elevate our defense slightly with a playmaker. He's a ball hawk, playmaker on the back end. Then we have the proven Marcus May. He showed that he can go in the slot. He can go at strong safety. He can go wherever, mid-range, high range. He can go in the box, whatever you want him to do. He can get the job done. He is a solid safety, whether it's a free safety or strong safety. When he comes, and is he going to, in the slot, when he comes up and plays in a slot, whether it's a dime or nickel, it's always a zone package. It's never a man package. Solid player. Good team leader, good communicator. And then here we go. We've got a guy we got in the 6th round. Strong safety. Nasruddin. Honestly, a lot of before the injury, before he started to slide in popularity, there was some speculation of him being a 1st or 2nd round pick. And then he got injured. Florida State fell apart. And I think he suffered largely due to the lack of success of the team. But I think his talent is wildly better than a 6th round pick. He's a ball hawk. He's going to play some linebacker. He's going to be a hybrid player. He's probably going to play some safety. You're going to see him involved in a lot of different packages in a lot of different places. I think we got a steal. Okay. Now, do I think he's going to be a dominant player year one? No, but he's going to be a good jet for years to come. I think he's a guy that's going to make the roster year after year, and I think he's going to get better, and I think he's going to start living up to his potential. Probably got a steal in the draft here. But as it all unfolds, we don't have enough dominant players. As you can see, we don't have like a Madden rating somebody of a 90 or better. Nobody. Our top end is not good enough. Now, Quentin Williams and CJ Mosley are both capable, and maybe with a wild card of somebody like a Corey Davis with that level of production, you put Carl Lawson on a defensive line like we have here. Now, Cincinnati's strong point has always been their defensive line, so Cincinnati's defensive line was pretty good as well. But he's at least at a minimum going to be at the same caliber of defensive line, and he's becoming a better player as he goes as an individual player and bringing that to our team with all the talent that we've added in the interior, exterior, everywhere. It's really going to depend on how it unfolds in training camp, how well guys pick up the system, how fast they learn with the new coaches. All right, but with all that being said, with our main weakness being at the corner spot, without a lot of experience, we've got a lot of speed. Speed is not the problem. But without the experience, without the playmaking ability, the top-end talent, the number one corner, I think we're in trouble. Our offense is going to have to score a lot of points to win. And, do I think our defense, because of our coaches, do I think our defense is going to have their games? I do. I really do. I think they're going to show some potential. But I think as far as a season prediction, I think the best you're looking at for our New York Jets is 6-10 to 7-9. And I'd have to decide. I don't think we're strong enough on the O-line unless we pick up somebody. I think we're going to be improved on the offensive line. I think Zach Wilson will have a decent year. I think he'll develop. But with a rookie quarterback and a lack of experience on the defensive side with the cornerback spot, we're learning a new offense. We're learning a new defense. To have extreme expectations right now, I think is a little bit over the top. So I'm going to go with 6-10. Maybe as good as 7-9, and that's about it. Remember, New England got a lot better, added a lot of playmaking potential. Okay, guys that have proven themselves in the NFL, and especially at that tight end spot. New England is loaded at the running back spot. Brought in some more offensive linemen. Lost Tooney, but New England is still very, very strong. They're getting their best playmaker on defense back and Hightower at linebacker. New England's going to be tough to beat this year. And Cam Newton in his second year, whether it's Matt Jones or Cam Newton, it's going to be an interesting competition in camp. So either way you go, if Matt Jones clearly beats out Cam Newton, then you have a better quarterback than Cam Newton. If Cam Newton just gets better as a Patriot and he beats out the young Matt Jones in training camp, then you have a higher level of player in Cam Newton and in his second season as a Patriot. And I think it's going to go well either way you go with that, however that unfolds in training camp. So I think we are in a division where Buffalo and New England are both at a much higher level than what we're at currently. And then you have Miami. Are we really better, that much better than Miami? I don't think so. I really don't. Can we compete with a team like Miami? Absolutely. But are we really going to dominate even against, Miami? They've got a second-year quarterback, very talented. Tua. A lot of people are, kind of shying away from him, but honestly, I think he's going to come out and have a much better season. A lot of guys just have to learn as a rookie, and that's just the way it is. Not everybody has a dynamic team to play with. Not everybody's a Patrick Mahomes. But a lot of guys, even though they don't have that dynamic first year, they can still be a productive, very, very talented NFL player at their position. So that's why I don't think we're even the second best team. I don't even know if we're the third best team in our division. We are improved. We will get better. I love our base. We've built some base. We have a foundation to the team now. We have a direction to go in, and I think it's a good one. I think you're going to see the Jets get better year after year. I just don't think this is our year yet. I think Buffalo and New England are far better, and I think a lot of the teams in the NFC South are far better, and even around the AFC. You put another free agent, we get a few more guys in free agency next year, another draft, this could look very different. But as it stands right now, I think we've built a strong foundation, and there's just too many holes right now where guys are not proven NFL players. But I do think that a lot of guys are going to get some playing time. They're going to learn. They're going to get better as players. We're going to bring it back next year, another free agency, another draft, and a second-year quarterback at that point. And a second year of being in the scheme is so much better than learning right off the bat. I really think that, this year is going to be a lot to be desired. A lot of hype. There's always hype around the Jets, but, I'm standing by 6-10 to 7-9. I hope you enjoyed this session. We'll do more roster outlooks, but this is the outlook for the Jets. Thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing. If you haven't subscribed already, please do, and I'll see you on the next roster outlook. Have a great day, everyone.